Today we're going to talk about area of regular polygons, and in order to do that, we do have to know what the parts of these polygons are. So the first line we're going to talk about is this one that goes from the center out to a corner, and we call that the radius, kind of like the radius of a circle. And then the angle that goes between two radiuses, that one we call the central angle, because it's kind of like in the center of the shape. And then the last piece goes from the center to the center of a side. So it splits a side in half. That one we call the apothem, kind of like possum with a lisp. It's apothem. Now if we look at example 1, we're supposed to find the central angle, and then we're supposed to label the radiuses and the apothem. So we're going to start by drawing in our radius. It goes from the corner to the center of the circle. Those are our two radiuses. And then our central angle would be the angle between them. So to find that, we do 360 divided by how many sides it has. So this has 3 sides, which means my central angle is 120. The last step is to draw in the apothem. It goes straight down to the center of the side, and we'll label that A for apothem. Looking at number 2, again, the first thing we're going to do is draw in the 2 radii, or radiuses. The central angle is the angle between them, so in this case it's going to be 360 divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's going to give me 60. And then we draw in our apothem. So straight down, cuts the side in half. That is our apothem. Okay, number 3, same idea. We're going to draw in the 2 radiuses. So from the center to the corner, we're going to find our central angle. That is 360 divided by 5. In this case, that's going to be 72. And then we draw in our apothem, which comes straight down from the center, and that is our apothem. The last one, again, draw in your 2 radii. Then you're going to find your central angle, so 360 divided by 8 in this case, which is 45. And then draw in your apothem. So straight down, it cuts the side in half, and we will label it A for apothem. All right, there are 3 ways to find the area of these shapes. So sometimes it will be nice and it will give you the area of one triangle. And if it does that, you're simply going to take the area of one triangle, which is pretty straightforward, times the number of sides that it has. So in this case, it would have been the area of this triangle times 5, because this has 5 sides. But it's not always going to be that nice. Most of the time, it's going to make you work at it. So the book formula is to take half the perimeter of the shape. So we know perimeter just means we add up all the sides, times the apothem, which is that line that we just learned about, times the number of sides that it has. So in this case, it has 5. So you would take your perimeter of the shape times the apothem times how many sides it has, and then divide that whole thing by 2, which I think sounds like a lot of steps. The formula I like to use is x times a times n. And I know that seems a lot easier than the one we just wrote out, where in this case, x is half of a side length. As you can see from the picture, it's just halfway across. A is still the apothem, and then n is how many sides it has. So we're going to try a few of these out to see which one we can work with better. So in example 1, it is giving us the area of this one shape. So we already talked about if we're given the area, we take the area of one triangle times how many it has. So this particular shape has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. So it's going to have 5 triangles. And when you multiply this, you are going to take the 16 times the 5, which will give us 80 radical 3 units squared. And you get to leave it like that. You don't have to do anything else. But as I said, usually they're going to make it harder. So looking at number 2, it says it's a nonagon, which means n is 9. It gives you the a, and it gives us a side length. So in our formula, x times a times n, x is half of that side. So the first thing we're going to do is find half of 9.6, which is 4.8. So x is 4.8. So we're going to take x times a times how many sides it has to get our final area. So in our case, it's going to be 570.2 because it says round to the nearest tenth, and that is inches squared. Okay, so looking at our next picture, it gives us our x, which is 4. It gives us our a, which is 4 radical 3. And then we count how many sides it has. So it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. Now, just like before, we're going to multiply all of the numbers except for the radical. So we're going to take 4 times 4 times 6, which gives us 96 radical 3 inches squared. And we get to leave it like that. I'm not going to make you do anything else with that. Now, looking at our last example, on this one, it does not give us our x this time, but it does tell you, like it tells you this whole side is 10.2. We only need this much of it, so we're going to cut that in half and get 5.1. So our x is 5.1, that's half of our side, times our apothem, which is 7, times how many sides this has, which is 5. So we're going to take 5.1 times 7 times 5 for a total of 178.5 miles squared.